This is Paul Ricci. I'm here with Kandida Kenner at the Netroots Nation Conference. She gave I guess, what's the name of your organization?
The New Pennsylvania Project.
Okay, so you're centered in Philadelphia?
No, we're a statewide organization. We have 6 offices across the Commonwealth, but our headquarters is in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and all right, and I know, I guess you're working on doing things like empowering individuals, and you gave a great talk yesterday about the state courts and how powerful they are and how important judicial elections are. Many people may not realize.
Thank you.
I do notice, like with judicial elections, very few people, they know very little about the candidates, and they all think they have to be tough on crime and they need the FOP endorsement.
But there's so much more that state courts do, right? Just besides criminal cases, civil cases, voting rights cases, education funding cases.
Yes, like the landmark decision they made, for the congressional map in 2018.
2018.
Yes, where it had to be completely redrawn.
Right.
So yes, that was good, and it was able to, produce a more equitable distribution of congressional seats,
which was not favorable for some, who then attempted to then impeach those Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices based upon their decision to overrule unconstitutional gerrymandered maps. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and I assumed part of your work deals with things like fighting voter suppression laws.
Absolutely. So the New Pennsylvania Project, we are a voting rights. We're a voting rights organization. Our primary purpose is voter registration, and we center communities of color, we center immigrant communities, and we center the youth. We have 1.7 million Pennsylvanians who are currently eligible to vote but not registered. It's 20% of all Black folks eligible to vote, not registered. 31% of the Latino community eligible to vote and not registered. 42% of the Asian Pacific Islander community in Pennsylvania eligible to vote and not registered. So we're trying to turn out all these people who have been disenfranchised functionally and politically over the years here in the Commonwealth and get them to actually come out, register to vote, and cast a ballot consistently every year, twice a year.
Yes. Okay. So I guess you were happy with the voter turnout in 2018, or happier anyway?
Well, 2020 had some really good turnout. We were happy about 2020 turnout. We had communities of color came out in large numbers. The youth community came out in large numbers, which ensured that we had some wins in Pennsylvania, but obviously a lot more work to do. The row offices were all lost in the 2020 elections. We want to see the turnout here for 2022 be a presidential election type turnout. We're going to need that in order to ensure that we are able to defend democracy and keep voting rights in place in the Commonwealth.
Okay, so yes, so I guess I know there are efforts currently to put constitutional amendments on the ballot to try to override the Supreme Court for abortion, and I guess there are other efforts as well.
Absolutely. So various Senate bills have been introduced because they cannot get past the governor's veto pen. So this is the new workaround. So if you can get past the governor's veto pen because your legislation doesn't have an overwhelming majority of support, then you're going to try to put your efforts onto constitutional ballot amendments for the voters to see, and primarily during the primary elections, which makes it very difficult because historically we have low voter turnout in primary elections. And so if you're going to put a ballot referendum question on a May ballot, let's say May 2023, that could end abortion rights in Pennsylvania, or could change the way in which we elect judges in Pennsylvania, or impact how we are voting, that's of importance. In Pennsylvania, we have a history in Pennsylvania of voting yes on every single ballot referendum question that has come across our ballot since 1996. And so we cannot allow for any constitutional amendment to be to appear on our May primary ballot in 2023 if it's going to take away abortion access, or if it's going to change the way in which we elect our judges.
Okay, so I guess you're encouraged by the results in Kansas that such a measure could be defeated here.
Yeah, so hopefully the GOP-led legislature in Pennsylvania really got to take a good look at what happened in Kansas, because having access to abortion is the popular thing. The majority of Pennsylvanians are in favor of having abortion access. And so, yes, it has been difficult to fight back against ballot referendum questions in Pennsylvania. But if that appears on our ballot in May, there's going to be a hard way to go. There's going to be a lot of organizations, grassroots groups going to fight back against that.
Okay. And so you said you're present in like six the your movement. It's present in six.
Yeah, we have 6 offices, but we are primarily focused in 5 regions in the
Yeah.
Commonwealth for 2022. So we're in Allegheny County. We're making sure that we're focusing on Penn Hills and Monroeville, where I was born. So I'm
Yeah.
a product of Monroeville. So Penn Hills, Monroeville, Keysport. We're looking at all the areas in which we can fill a gap that exists, so we can engage folks on the street, meet them where they are at their front door, and get them engaged and registered to vote.
Okay, well, I mean, I do notice that, yeah, I mean, certainly there can be a gap, like in my part of the state, like say around Johnstown or around, around the, in this more central part of the
Yeah,
state.
we are in the capital region for just 2022. We look to expand hopefully into Center County and hit those Penn State students there in Center County. But right now it's a new organization we just founded in May of last year. So we have a concentration in the capital region, so Harrisburg, Dauphin County. We're also in Lancaster. We're in Cumberland County, so right across the bridge there from Harrisburg into Cumberland County. And then we're also a lot, really dedicated out to the suburban areas of Philadelphia. They call the collar counties, and so we're in Delaware County, Montgomery County, Chester County,
Okay,
Bucks County.
so, yeah,
And then we
well,
actually go up to the Poconos as well. We're up
Okay.
in Monroe and Northampton.
okay, yeah, I guess so. So, yeah, I know in like those parts of the state, I mean, organizing may be more difficult because, a lot of, like, say, a lot of that area has shifted towards Trump. And, the MAGA people, and they may believe a lot of the lies about the election, about it being stolen.
Yeah, but what we're finding is that there's a lot of folks moving into Pennsylvania, particularly in like Monroe and Northampton,
Yeah.
who have been, come out of New Jersey. Maybe they're leaving New Jersey because it's really expensive to live there, and so they've moved into
Even
those
Dr.
areas.
Oz.
Even Dr. Oz, right? So they're moving out of New Jersey or New York, or they were displaced by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and they're moving into that area. And Puerto Ricans are American citizens, and so they're also eligible to vote. And make sure we're getting all those folks registered as well.
Okay. So I guess so this year will be obviously more of an organizing year, and
Well, it's
depending
more.
on the
It's more than just organizing this year. We've already registered 17,000 Pennsylvanians to vote.
okay.
Yeah, 17,000
Well,
so far this year.
certainly that increases. I mean, I know. I guess getting the laws changed about felons being allowed to vote.
Yeah, well, that's always been a really large misconception or disinformation for Pennsylvanians. The formerly incarcerated have been eligible to vote for a long time once they hit the street. So the moment that you're released from incarceration, you can vote in Pennsylvania unless your felony had something to do with voter fraud, of which there's very minimal of that.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that is a misconception, is that when you come home from being incarcerated, that you're ineligible to vote, but you are absolutely. You don't have to have your fines and fees paid. You can still be on parole. As long as your feet are on the street, you can vote in Pennsylvania if you were formerly incarcerated. And some folks who are incarcerated in this moment can vote as well.
If they're on parole or probation, they're not.
Or if they're currently incarcerated and serving for a misdemeanor, you are eligible to vote. Or if you are incarcerated and have not been sentenced and convicted, you are eligible to vote.
Yeah, they shouldn't forfeit all their rights.
Right, you still have citizenship.
So, okay. So, I mean, yes, all of this sounds exciting, and like I guess so. Some of these efforts, like, would you say they've been buoyed by things like the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think there's a lot of things currently in this climate that have moved people to want to get more involved, be it the assault on Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision, be it the Black Lives Matter movement, be it the economy, be it the struggle to afford student loan debt. There's a lot of things that are moving people to get more involved in this moment.
Yes, so that's why. Partly why an independent judiciary. That's the message you came across and gave at the yesterday.
Yeah.
That's why that's important, to stop overreaches by the by legislatures and local towns.
Right, right. We have three separate independent branches of government. We have the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial, and they are co-equal branches of government. And so we do not want the legislative branch to usurp their authority or the executive branch to usurp their authority over the judicial branch. We will make sure it's independent and fair because that is where the people go for justice.
Yes, I mean, I know. I guess the big problem is, well, really for all three branches of government is campaign financing and reforming, like say where the dark money comes from.
Right.
I mean, I learned a lot in one presentation that was done about Jeff Yass.
Oh yes,
Who's a very
Jeffrey Yass has
very
given
powerful billionaire.
given millions of dollars to Pennsylvania to try to, impact our public school funding. We know that we need to have robust public school funding here in Pennsylvania. Most folks go to school in public schools, so we need to ensure that we are properly funding them. Pennsylvania is one of the worst in the entire country at funding public schools.
Yes, well, yeah, that's very sad. I mean, I have worked in the public schools as a public school teacher.
All right,
And,
thank you for that.
I mean, part of the issue is a lot of the school districts around Johnstown, they may be forced to consolidate because of dwindling populations.
Right.
Plus a lot of the students are on free lunches, and so combining all of that could still be. I mean, all could still be a very thorny issue.
Well, what is thorny about funding our kids and funding their education, right? This is something we should all be supporting. And the majority of Pennsylvanians do support equally and equitably funding our schools here in the Commonwealth. So I think it's just it's time for our elected officials to catch up with what the people feel.
Okay. Yes. Well, thank you. I mean, I was just planning for this to be like a 10-minute interview.
Okay.
So I hope you found this a good opportunity, at least to get your message out in the central part of the state.
Absolutely. And so for you that are watching in Johnstown and in that area, just know that, although we may not be concentrating our efforts in 2022, we will be in existence through the 2024 election at least, and we will be in Johnstown for the 2024 election. We want to make sure that all those folks who feel disenfranchised, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what's keeping you from joining the electorate, what's keeping you from casting ballots. And we want to talk to you about the issues that matter to you, the pocketbook issues, the social issues, economic justice issues, environmental justice issues that exist in Johnstown. I mean, you're the home of the big flood, right?
Yes, the 1889 flood,
Right.
yes. The worst man-made disaster, second only to 9/11.
Right.
So, okay, well, thank you, and I appreciate
Paul.
your time, and I will post this on the web and be happy to share this with
Okay,
you.
thank you, Paul.
All right, well,
I gave you my card the other day, right?
yes, you did.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll share this with you and be happy to organize.
Okay, thank you. And this is the event that I organized yesterday.
Oh yeah. Oh, how did that go?
It went really well. We
I
had
guess
about
Doug
100
Mastriano was in town,
And DeSantis.
so there was a big turnout for that.
We had about 150 people. Last minute event we just organized within 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Got some national,
okay.
got some media coverage. So it's
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, I guess so. That certainly should be a hotly contested race, plus the Senate race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.